Welcome to a weekly episode of Talk. We're your host, Eddie Marmolejo.
And Jaime Moreno.
Well, besides banning the president from every single major social media platform known in Google and Amazon and I don't know what other major platform out there, they impeached the guy again. They impeach him with a week to go in his term. For what purpose, I have no idea. And before we get to this topics, I first would like I said, thank you for tuning in. But also remember, if you have not yet, follow us on our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Right, the list is below. And also on Anchor FM and Spotify. We're on all those platforms. So if you like our content, we have many ways you can follow us. So please share and like. Well, like I've said, Jaime, they just banned the president from every single platform for inciting violence. And that led also to his impeachment today. But I want to stick to the ban first, okay?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of leaders across the world that are pretty much condemning that.
Yeah, they are.
Banning. They're condemning it. And it's interesting because it's coming from Germany, it's coming from Russia, it's coming from many Western European countries. It's coming from within the United States, of course, but it's coming from countries who were at one point in time in the past under communist
or fascist
dictatorships or fascist rules. Yes, of course. So they're coming from the people who've already experienced this, right? Yeah. Many years ago, or either through the fascist rules of the Nazis back in the 40s. Or through the most recent communist regimes, right? In the late 20th century. So I think these leaders who are, and I don't think they support the president in the fact that, he's not wrong, but I think what they're attacking here is the mere fact that you're censoring free speech, right? And you're doing it arbitrarily.
Yeah.
Right. And the dangers of it. And we're talking about countries who were under these regimes, who were under censorship, banning. You can't speak your mind. You can't say what you want to say. You have to abide by the party. You have to submit to the regime. You can't speak ill about it. You can't talk bad about it, or else you go to jail. You're sent to the gulag. You're killed. You're a spy. You're sent to workers' camp. Whatever it is that they did in the past to punish you for it, right? And because the United States didn't live under that regime in the past and has never been under that regime or has never had that experience, we don't know. I guess we don't have the experience to know when that line is being crossed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because in America, we've always had the privilege of free speech.
Right.
We always had the privilege of speaking our mind, criticizing the government, criticizing the presidents, criticizing whoever the hell we want, right? I mean, there's a lot of Supreme Court precedent that supports this and allows this, with the exception of don't scream fire in a crowded room, right? Because it can lead to danger. Right. We have that exception or those, limited restrictions. But we never lived actually under a regime like that. So when you hear leaders from these countries that have had that experience, I think the United States and the media, the platforms and the social media leaders and stuff should pay attention, right? Not because, these, it's about Trump, because they're telling you something out of experience, right? And they're warning you in terms of don't be crossing that thin line, right? That thin line in the sand that can later lead to other consequences down the road. And as much as hate as they might have for President Trump, as much, anger they might have against him, as much discord they might have, disagreements, whatever, going to that point to actually banning the sitting president of the United States is beyond anything that has ever happened in the United States. And I think that speaks more ill of us than it does good. So they see it in their eyes as social justice, right?
Right.
As, we're trying to protect the public good. But those actions can also be used against them in the future. Those actions are leading to something that is far worse than just being angry at a president. You're setting the standard of shutting up a president of the United States because you disagree with him, whether he's right or wrong, you just disagree with him. And because you disagree with him or you don't like that person, you're going to ban him.
Right.
Right. And these leaders are speaking. I mean, Angela Merkel, okay, the pretty much the badass of Europe, okay, Germany, okay, right now they're the badasses of Europe, okay, is saying that is not right, right? She doesn't condone whatever Trump said, but she says that that's not right, right?
Right.
So this should be an alarming issue to not just the media platforms, but to the entire political left. Now, if you guys noticed that we posted, the entire political left has normalized the idea of censorship, right? And they done it so bravely for the sake of public good, for the sake of public safety, for the sake of not hurting people's feelings, for the sake of peace and unity, right?
Right.
That's the guise, the disguise, the umbrella, the smoke screen of the sense of why they're behaving why they're allowing censorship in America. And I think that's something they need to start paying attention to. As much you may hate them, that's fine. You can hate the man. You may disagree with him. You might think he's the stupidest. He's a liar. He's the worst of the worst. That's fine. You could believe all that you want. But crossing that thin line, that threshold, whether it's Trump or whether it'll be Biden, whether it'll be Kamala Harris, whether it be whoever the hell it is down the road, they're going to have to now, they're under that same danger of censorship and blocking.
Are they?
Right? I think they are. I think they are.
The only reason I question that is because, and like I said, there's no, look, I make this assumption, right? And this is based on on trends, okay? There's no study yet, okay? But I don't believe that Biden, Harris, Ocasio-Cortez, or anybody on the left right now is in much danger of censorship as anybody on the right. Everybody on the right, every time you hear people from the right speaking out on social media platforms are censored. Anybody with a right-wing personality is censored for misinformation, and this is on social media platforms, okay? They fact check because it doesn't totally represent the events in hand and so forth. But people on the left can say whatever the heck they want, right? And those situations are hardly to none. Like I don't even know.
They're not even censored or flagged, right?
There's no censorship. I'm pretty sure there has been, but I'm saying you and I like numbers. If we quantify it, I could put all the money in my pockets right now versus all Dorsey's money. And if they make a study, I'm pretty sure I'm on Twitter tomorrow morning, just because of the way I have seen the trends that I have seen.
So the double standards in the application of censorship and fact checking.
Double standards.
Yeah, we've discussed that here. Yeah, of course.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see it that way. And another
maybe not now, right? Because remember, a lot of these regimes came to power because they only allowed far left policies to be spoken.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't until the regime came into power, then they start censoring everybody, and even people within their own left.
Like
it might not be now, in my opinion, but maybe down the road. Things can happen. I mean, come on. I predicted a lot of this changes to happen 10 years from now. It happened within 4 years.
No. What I'm saying is, I don't think the left is going to experience censorship. I'm saying people on the right are going to experience more censorship as we're going down the road.
Oh yeah, of course. But I still think that. Okay. I see what you're saying. That's
where I'm heading.
The double standard. Yeah.
And it's evident on everything. It's funny. I was just talking to my dad today, and he was like, "Man, that Trump needs to shut up. I'm glad they banned him on Twitter." I was like, "Okay, what did he do?" He was like, "Well, they said he incentivized. Did you read the speech? Did you read what he said? The first thing he said is to go march peacefully in front of the Capitol, right? And we'll get into that point of it
later on. Yeah.
Do you know what he said? Okay. Do you know what he said? Do you know the context of what he's saying? And he's like, well, no, I just saw that they were saying, okay, so you saw somebody else's opinion on what he said, but you actually don't know the context of the situation. See, that's the problem. And that's how people get banned. You don't look at the entire picture, right? Or like the fact checkers say, missing context, or not the entire story, or USA, whatever they put in those captions. You have to look at the whole thing, right? And they're not. And anybody who's saying anything that is either factual and goes against the narrative is being just put out, man. It's just like they're gone. Like you're no longer welcome to say anything. And in these platforms, like, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, what? And then you say that, well, we don't, I mean, you tell conservatives they can't speak on Twitter. Then you tell conservatives they can't speak on Instagrams. So conservatives go to Parler. You ban Trump on Twitter. You ban Trump on Facebook and Instagram. So Trump goes on Parler. And all of a sudden, the owners of those servers say, well, you have to change or we're going to shut you down. Like, how is that not censorship?
Mhm.
How is that
No,
not?
I agree.
How is that not regulating free speech? I mean, like it's beyond ridiculous. like you said, or you pointed perfectly. You may hate the guy, you may not like the guy, you don't like what the guy stands for, but he has the right to say it. You know what I mean? How is that Obama back in 2012, who incited violence against the police, is still on Twitter, is still on Instagram, is still on Facebook? What about
People don't know that, Eddie, because the news didn't talk about it.
I know they don't know that.
And that's I'm gonna go down that road later on today or maybe another time, but a lot of the stuff people get informed is based on the interpretation of journalists, right? It's not actual fact, just their interpretation of
Right.
They're pretty much telling you they're summarizing based on their worldview of what the events happened, right? And then you take that as fact.
Yeah, my dad was the perfect example. He took the opinion of a reporter, and I had to come in and tell him, well, did you actually read what he said, or did you hear the speech, or did you hear anything? He's like, no, I'm just going off what I heard. Like you just said, you're going off the interpretation of the reporter, right? And that's the problem, that we're not adhering to facts. And then when we point out the facts, it goes against the narrative said reporter put out, and fact is now lie, and interpretation of fact is now truth. So I'm like,
that's pretty much it. That's pretty much summarizes what's going on in America. Yeah.
It's like,
yeah. And the banning of the president, I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, we've even complained about his tweets, sorry, here in Talk. We complained about it too, but that doesn't give us the right to ban him from it. You know, that doesn't give us the right to ban him completely just because we don't like what he writes, what he says, or he just writes dumb things, you know? And I think that's a danger. We might not see it against liberal groups right now,
right?
But maybe in some time in the future, it will come back and bite them in the butt, I think.
Well,
right?
I hope so. I don't see it happening just the way based on the trend. I'm not disagreeing with you. I hope you're right, but I just don't see it. But
I see where you come from, and I agree with you 100%. As of now, like yes, right now, I mean, you have some congressional women saying, you know, we should riot and protest Capitol until what was it that Miss
Presley, yeah. So
Miss Presley said, what she say again?
Well, this was back during the BLM riots and while cities were burning.
No, the BLM peace marches. Okay. They were never riots.
Mostly peaceful marches. Okay, let's adopt some CNN.
That's sarcasm right there.
Mostly
sarcastic.
These mostly peaceful protesters, right, were burning cities, stealing people's property, and getting new Jordans at a 5-finger discount.
10.
That's right.
2 pairs.
Yeah, you gotta get 2 pairs, I guess, right? She said that unrest needs to happen until all social unrest is taken care of, and I'm it's not verbatim. I'm just like
paraphrasing.
Thank you. And that's what she said. And I'm saying, well, how is this not banning somebody? Why are we not saying this person should be banned? And that's what I'm telling you. Democrats right now are getting away. If we're taking the definition of inciting violence, they're getting away with a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people in the media are getting away with a lot of it. You know what I mean? AOC just a couple days ago said, we need to liberate the South. Okay, I'm sorry. When I hear a socialist talk about liberating something, it's usually through a means of violence. And I'm just going by historical context. So I don't know what you mean by that. But if we're going by historical context, that's a violent thought. So should we censor AOC? Of course not, because everybody's into the whole social justice and get poor people rich and rich people poor. So, I mean, it's the double standard. but Donald Trump says, "Hey, go march peacefully," and you're inciting violence because of the actions of some hooligans. And this is what I'm saying. It was some hooligans, right? And I could say the same thing for the mostly peaceful protesters last summer. There were some people that were there peacefully, but there were some hooligans there, right? So the argument actually fits both sides. The problem in America today is that it's only fitting one side, benefiting one side more than it is the other. And that's the side that has control of the media, has control of our schooling, and has control basically of everything right now. And essentially, as a January 20th, has control of everything except the Supreme Court. but that's where I say this censorship and this attack on free speech that we have argued here in American Talk is only going to get worse, right? If you shut down Parler because Trump went on Parler, are you gonna? I mean, it's just ridiculous. We're the laughing stock of the world right now, not just because of because of what happened in the Capitol, but now because big tech is essentially censoring people for free speech. You know what I mean? You're censoring people for free speech, and the left does not see it. The left sees protection, the left sees security, and I'm saying no, because when, like you said, it might come bite them in the butt, and we're gonna say no. You remember 20 years ago, 15 years ago when you censored Donald Trump? Nah, it's not fun, is it? But guess what? Because of security and this, you set a very dangerous precedent on that, and this is a big one. It's a laughing stock. We're an embarrassment to the world right now based on what happened. And I'm not just saying because of the riots, I'm saying on the reaction to these riots and the hypocrisy we're seeing from the media, hypocrisy we're seeing from Democrats right now. I mean, it's all bad, dude. It's all bad.
Yeah, and they're mad because they attacked the Capitol by, like Eddie said, by some hooligans. Not everyone in that march.
Not everybody,
protest went out there and did it, right? So if we're gonna use the whole so if BLM can get away with a lot of violence by saying peaceful protests, when we all know that there were fires, looting, destruction, police cars on fire. People would eat. There's videos and clips where people would eat outside restaurants, and BLM protesters would go and harass them and violently yell at them for not doing anything about Black Lives Matter, for sitting down and eating in their privilege, right? Or when professors were, fired because they didn't want to give, a free pass to a Black student because of what happened with George Floyd, right? And the professor says, well, what about the other people who've gone through tragedies too that didn't get a pass? How do you justify they not getting a pass, but you get a pass? And he is now an evil to students. He is an evil to the movement. When you have students, protesting, in the most liberal free speech universities like Berkeley and USC and all those people who claim to be free speechers and all that stuff, banning people who don't agree with their narrative, who don't necessarily think that socialism is the answer for our problems here, right? And they go on. I mean, we've seen it in our faces with videos and clips, and the media still tells us, no, you're watching, like Obi-Wan Kenobi with the soldiers and A New Hope, right? We are not the droids you're looking for. These are not the droids you're looking for, right? It's kind of the same way because we see it. We're watching as Americans. We're watching the footages and what's going on, right? And we see it. And the news is saying, it's not as bad as you think. It's actually good.
Yeah, the Jedi mind tricking everybody.
It's good. Right. It's good. It's good.
And we're the Sith.
The professor's getting fired because he want to get a free pass to Black students, right? Because it's not fair for other students. He's racist. Right? Yeah. He's racist. Black Lives Matters burned down a lot of small business owners, and we see footages and interviews of small business owners who suffered those consequences or suffered because of Black Matters. They were peaceful. They're peaceful. They're peaceful. We see Portland literally got a group of liberals in the center of the city make their own country, demanding food, water.
How's that not insurrection or sedition, man?
That's peaceful. Peaceful.
Those people seceded from the United States.
Exactly. And then you have, they're destroying federal buildings, they're destroying federal monuments, they're destroying federal property. Peaceful.
Yeah.
Peaceful.
Yeah.
Peaceful. And then you come to these hooligans who did this, which we condemn here in Talk.
And it takes us 100 days to do it too.
Rioters.
The whole thing's a riot.
Supremacist, racist, insurrection. Really? So Either we're in a society of woke people, like actually woke people who can actually see, okay, you know what? I don't agree with the right, but you know what? I see the double standards. Or I don't agree with the left, but I see the double standards. At least we're that, either we're that kind of a woke country, or we're just woke to the fact that I'm gonna have temper tantrums on my stuff, and I don't care what you say, and I'm gonna attack you as long as I win at all costs, right?
Right.
So the woke we need to be in society is, you know what? I don't agree with the right, or I don't agree with the left, or either side, but you know what? I can see the double standards by the media. I can see the double standards by
Yeah.
leaders. I can see how they treat differently. I can see that, you know what? I disagree with you, but they're trying to fool with us, or they're trying to mess with us, and that's, I think, it's gonna unite us. We might have disagreements on how to get to the same goal,
Right.
right? But we can at least agree that, hey, they're playing us, right? These elite, these media conglomerates, these leaders are playing us because they're making one side look bad than the other. I disagree with you, but they're making one side or the other look bad. And I think that's dangerous. And the banning of the president and banning of conservatives is dangerous, because you might see it now as justice, as good, as yes, because they don't know what to talk about.
Yeah.
Down the road, it's going to come bite you in the butt. I don't know when or where, but it's going to come and
Right.
bite you in the butt. So
Yeah. And
be
it's
careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think you have to be more abstract. Like leave your base, but like leave your what you stand for. Leave your platform for a second and look at the abstract and look what's going on, right? And then you could say, yeah, this is wrong, because it could affect you later on down the road too. So I think you're correct on that. I just, like I said, for me, it's hard to see who is coming in, and these are the people that are in charge. It's just hard for me to see that the people that are in charge are going to censor themselves. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Of course
So,
not.
but
Well, that's that on the banning. You want to? I know I talked too much about.
oh yeah,
this,
we
but
got
something you want to add or
transition too. So that led to the impeachment of
You
President
start this,
Trump.
Freddy, because I'm gonna go all off on a rant here.
Um,
First of all, the impeachment is stupid.
no,
It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. I'll say it in an accent. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. Okay, that's it.
Here's my view on. I'm not gonna. I mean, I could break it down to that one word, in which you're right. My thing is, what's the point? I mean, okay, let's not begin with what's the point. Let's make the actual factual argument. So the argument that was made by Democrats and the 10 Republicans that joined, including one from California, stated that the president's speech incited violence, that the president's speech led to an insurrection, that the president's speech led to an attack on the Capitol, the worst attack in history, for all I know, according to the media, right? It's a day we're going to live in infamy, according to Chuck Schumer. Here's my question. What part of the speech that incited violence? There was a couple lawyers that I was listening to a radio, and they talk about Jonathan Turley, which we talk a lot about on this show because he was a former Obama, right? A former Obama supporter, defended Trump during the impeachment process, said your definition of impeachment is pretty bad because you're setting a low standard. And here he is again saying, well, there's nothing in his speech that incited violence. We looked at the speech, we reread the speech, we listened to the speech. I listened to the speech. I don't know if you read it or listened to it, Jaime, but
I saw it. I read it. When he was speaking, I was watching it or hearing it, at least when he spoke that day.
There are instances, right? There are instances where you say, yeah, you should go fight and this and that. That's just rallying your base. That's fine. But he said the thing that sticks out the most, after we're done here, you're going to go march peacefully in the Capitol and make your voices heard. Does that sound like an Adolf Hitler? Does that sound like a Benito Mussolini? Does that sound like a Hugo Chavez or Maduro or Franco or Fidel Castro or Mao or anybody who has incited speeches that have incited violence, right? Or let's stick to more American politics. Ayanna Pressley, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Barack Obama, right?
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, who have had speeches that by promoting a false narrative led to violence. So here's the thing. If you want to make the argument, like I stated in the previous segment, your argument had been this, and honestly, it should have been just a censure, okay? Donald Trump gave misinformation when he told those people, hey, VP Pence can overturn this election and we're going to win. That is an unconstitutional statement to begin with.
Yes.
Donald Trump would have created a constitutional crisis. So if the House wanted to censure him on that because it led to the violence, right? You can make it, you can say, well, that influenced the violence. You can make the argument, right? It led to that. Then that's a censure. That's not an impeachable offense, right? He made the wrong argument. And this is why I said, and that's how far as you could have taken, because like I said, Barack Obama gave false information regarding cops killing just black people, and it led to police officers getting killed. It led to the riots in the last summer. We're still feeling the effects of that narrative. The narrative that him and the media have portrayed for the last what is it now, 13 years?
Just Black Lives Matter started.
Yeah, and I'm saying, like, this impeachment made no sense. And look, I was on Instagram, and I came across Dan Crenshaw's page, and he said, like, look, the president was wrong in saying that. It basically makes my argument that saying what he said was wrong, right? But that did not lead to the violence, because not everybody rebelled, not everybody stormed the Capitol, not everybody did that. So I was looking for a censure, not a
Impeachment.
not impeachment. Which I'm gonna say, like, yeah, that's fine. You know, a censure is just like a bad, it's a bad note on your report card. I'm sorry. I mean, that's how I view censures by Congress. It's a bad note on your report. You got an F, or you got the dean's note, whatever you want to call it.
Sent to the principal's office.
You got sent to the principal's office.
Time out. You got time out. You lost your recess privilege,
and
right? you got a red card.
And that would have been fine, but you take this to the next level, and my problem with that is that even our side is like, well, you're not a real Republican, and this and that. No, this is why we're being attacked in the first place, because you're not listening, right? You already have the liberals spilling the wrong narrative, and then you have our side like being fueled by that too. They're saying that, no, we're right, no, you're wrong, no, you're right, and they're like, no, look, Trump was wrong. He's fueling the base incorrectly, right? And they're acting on passions, and the hate of Donald Trump by the media and everybody else in the world is adding to that fire. So it's like,
of course,
we're all over the place. So what is Nancy Pelosi have? We're gonna impeach him, and if you don't impeach him, you should have. I mean, first of all, if you didn't invoke the 25th Amendment for 12 days, we're gonna impeach him, and then you impeach him. Like, for what?
And so that's not, now let's go to the cases. So we know the impeachment process. You set the bar so low.
It's low, man. Donald Trump party impeachment.
Yeah, because like I said earlier, you put the standard so low that it can happen to you in the future.
Yeah.
Right. Let's say that the House, for whatever reason, gets majority of Republicans in 2 years. Right. They win. Let's say the Republicans take back the House and Senate. Let's say, right? Hypothetically speaking, you're saying this bar is so low for them to impeach Biden.
Well, let's say they take over the House, but then you got to do.
But it's like a hypothetical theory, right? Hypothetical theory, right? That's just hypothetical. What I'm trying to get at is that just like the Democrats removed the filibuster and the 60 votes in the Senate to pass any law, just like they got rid of that, right? And now they complained about it when President Trump was in office and the Republicans were in power, and they complained about, oh, they're abusing power, but they themselves removed that line, right? That threshold, right? They themselves removed that threshold to have super majority and be able to pass rules and laws and stuff, right? And then later, when it's the opposite party in power and they're using that same rule or that same guide, they're complaining about it. So what I'm saying is that you lower the impeachment standards so low that you never know. Maybe it's not Biden. Maybe it might not be him. Maybe it could be another Democrat president down the road. We don't know, right? But what if they use that against him or her down the road? What if the standard's so low that your president's in power and the opposite party is in the House in Congress, that they impeach him or her for whatever reason, just as stupid as this, right? Are you gonna of course you're gonna complain about it. You're gonna talk about, oh, it's prosecution, it's persecution, sorry. It's oh, it's just they're victimizing, they're abusing power, when you yourself are setting that standard now that can be later on used against you. That makes sense?
Yeah, I agree.
So you might think, and those people who, and the public who supports this move, might say, yeah, he deserves it. He's just, awful guy. Andale, he deserves it. He deserves to be impeached. Yeah, he's a bad man. You're over here praising the move, but you don't realize the danger that it's happening, that it's causing the precedent that you're setting up. That when your person gets in power, your person can be removed from office with as low standard as you got this man out of office.
Yeah, and that's
Or
what John
you
argued.
just
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
you make that. So,
And then now you have then they're trying to invoke the 25th Amendment, right? When the president is incapable.
That was first, sir.
That was first.
Yeah,
that was first, right? Obviously, Mike Pence said no, right? The media hasn't been talking about, let's say, Joe Biden's amnesia and forgets things. He's lost. He's confused. He says things out of his butt. We've made mention here in Talk, right? But the media has been quiet about it, right? Has kept it hush hush, right? And we talked about Joe Biden's, amnesia, about his loss of mind, that he's not mentally capable. And there's other outlets out there that have been playing on it. Even big famous Joe Rogan has even talked about Joe Biden's mental capacity, and how dangerous it is. I mean, Joe Rogan, he's a big Democrat, right? But at least
he's independent.
Oh, he's independent, or he was Democrat dependent, but he tends to be more
Whatever.
liberal, right? But he's balanced and realizing, hey, this is going on with Joe Biden. Isn't anyone seeing this, or is it just
right?
We're not going to talk about it, right?
Right.
You want to use the 25th Amendment on Donald Trump. Who is to say that they won't use the 25th Amendment on Joe Biden, and then have Kamala Harris become president of the United States? And that's an argument we've been making here in the here in Talk. Not an argument, but the possibility that a 77-year-old man may not have the mental capacity to finish 8 years in office.
Not even 4.
Not even 4 years.
Eddie, I'm
giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. 8. I'm giving him 8.
I'm sorry. I mean,
Eddie's like, not even 3 years.
No, I'm giving him to the next midterms. Okay, I'm sorry. No,
that's good.
I mean, all jokes aside, I mean, I can see that. I mean, I don't know if Harris has the well, I mean, that's her favorite word. It's going to go into Spanish, cojones, to get to get Biden's cabinet and say, hey, we're going to invoke the 25th on Joe Biden after year 2 because he is gone loony.
You never know.
You never know. But then, like I said,
so what constitutes president not be able to take control because you don't like his speech, you don't like what he says, you don't like the way he talks.
Yeah.
That makes him incapable for office.
Yeah.
Because the people literally elected a businessman who is not a politician, who doesn't lie to you, who's not a professional liar, who's not a professional drama maker, who's not a professional. Well, maybe he's a drama
correction.
maker.
He is a professional drama maker.
Yeah, he is. Okay, I take back on the professional drama maker. Okay, yeah, reality show. I'll give him that. Sorry, take that back. But he's not a professional politician.
Right. Yeah,
he's not a politician in the sense of the word that does negotiations, succumbs, makes compromises. He just goes out there, does what he can, and tries to get a deal done. Right, a businessman into office. Something that politicians hate. Politicians hate a person who takes power that is not one of their own, right? And just a side note, it's because they don't have control, right? Because politicians control each other or bully each other for power, right? Mm-hmm. And if you have someone in office who doesn't depend on other politicians to remain in power, right? Then you have someone you can't control, right? That could be anywhere from city council to governor to congressman to senator to whatever. Yeah. I mean, this is probably one of the rare moments I'm going to speak highly of AOC, but AOC got into Congress on her own merits, right? On going out to knocking on doors, on talking about social justice and blah, blah, and she won, right? She didn't really get backed by the Democratic machine, right? She pretty much, came in on that aspect. So if you see how they treat her, they kind of just like, yeah, she's just, they just ignore her. They don't have a lot of control over her. Yeah, she says a lot of stupid things and we'll point them out to you for you. But in that sense of the word, that she's not a politician who came into power, right, and is making a mess, politicians hate that. So just like she came into office, Donald Trump came into office the same way too. He's not a politician. He's just a businessman who just decided to run for office because he just had the money and felt like it and wanted to do something, and he won.
Right.
And politicians don't have control over him, right? Because he doesn't depend on politicians' endorsement. He doesn't depend on politicians' money. He doesn't depend on big interest groups. He doesn't depend on campaign finance by big corporations or by, certain interest groups. He doesn't depend on it. He has his own money.
Yeah.
So that's just a side note. So, politicians hate that. Going back to where that's just a side note. Going back to where we started at is that when you start making these cases for what is a standard of what makes a president incapable, just because you don't like the way they speak, how they talk, or their politics, you're setting up a dangerous precedent, right? You're setting up a dangerous precedent. What if Joe Biden says in year 2, black kids are smarter than white kids, right? And then
you already said that.
Oh, he already said that. Huh? Damn. Let's say black kids.
Actually, he said there. Yeah, he did say that.
He did say that. No, he did. They just say he said something stupid for whatever reason.
Whatever.
Right? They just say whatever reason. And they're like, oh, he's incapable to serve office just because you didn't like what he said.
Right.
So what is the standard? So let's not have the anger against Trump, the hatred against Trump, set up a precedent that is dangerous down the road. Right, that's all I'm saying right here, and I'll end my interpretation here already because I had to give you a chance to give your point of view. It's just that if you set the president so low, you're setting up a dangerous precedent on the executive branch. Now Congress and the balance of powers is going to be shifted a little bit higher on Congress,
the legislative,
congressional.
Yeah.
Even though the legislator was intended to have more power on his legislative, right? It does. But then again, now that we live in a system of a two-party system and so much bipartisanship, right?
Or partisanship in this case.
Yeah, so much. Sorry, yeah, but partisanship. Sorry, so much partisanship. Sorry, so much partisanship that the left doesn't want to talk to the right and the right doesn't want to talk to the left, right? That you lead that whoever's in power in Congress, whether it be Republican or Democrat, will now just try to invoke the 25th Amendment on any president of the opposing party, right, that they disagree with. And then they can use the impeachment power to just get rid of any president of the opposing party for whatever dumb reason to get him out of office because they don't agree with them.
Yeah, and that's the precedent that was set up with the first impeachment, and now it's even worse, because you're holding and you're holding Donald Trump, in this case, President Trump, to such a low standard that it's incapable of how do I word this? You put him at a low standard that, like you said, it's going to bring anybody that you don't like out of office, and then that's the problem. It's just anybody that you don't like. It's not somebody that's across the board, because if it were put across the board, the squad would be gone. Honestly, the squad would be gone. Nancy Pelosi would be gone. Kamala Harris would be gone. Elizabeth Warren would be gone. Who's the other one? Chuck Schumer would have gone. You remember? Listen here, Gorsuch. Listen here, Kavanaugh. You've unleashed the whirlwind, and you will pay the price. Remember we said that in front of the Supreme Court when they were going to do, I think it was an abortion. Those statements should also be held to that low standard, and that's where Jaime and I are trying to argue that you don't. And then that's what obsesses you about today's impeachment. That you're not, that one, you lower the standard even lower this time, and it's something that's not going to be applicable across the board. It's only going to be applicable to whoever you don't like, and if you have the majority in Congress, bye-bye. I mean, that's bad, and that's what people need to see. It's like, I'm not defending Trump for being Trump. I'm defending Trump because he's been put at a low standard, and it's not just us. You had liberals making the same argument. I just told you, John DeTurley was a Barack Obama supporter. The ACLU, was like, dude, you can't. The ACLU was like, well, why are you banning President Trump? That's just terrible. And this is a low standard. The people are starting to see, but people need to accept it. People need to accept that this is a really, really, really bad idea in general. Okay. and it should. But if you're gonna do it, it should be across the board, and it's not. And that's where, for me, that's totally unfair, right? And it's dangerous. That low bar shouldn't even exist, but it's dangerous. But it's dangerous, like Jaime said, because I could say tomorrow, like there was that congressman, forget his name, who went to go visit Hitler's house, a vacation home, and then he's like, "Oh, look, I mean, I can't believe." He's like, "Haha, I can't believe like 79 years ago, people were standing here and creating evil acts, but it's a nice house." Oh, condemn him! He's a Hitler supporter, whatever. What are you gonna remove him from office? I mean, like, honestly, like, what? Okay, so if I go to Poland and I go to Auschwitz, like, oh, that guy's a Nazi. Look, he went to go where the Jews were burned, and I'm like, what's the standard now? You know, you guys are eliminating really a standard for the highest office in the land. And honestly, who's gonna want the job? I mean, are we gonna turn into a parliamentarian system in the future? Because honestly,
oh hell no.
No. But check this out. I mean, it may sound as an
Oh
extreme.
hell no. No. I condemn that. Censored.
No. I mean, is it gonna turn into that thing? I mean, I may be going local, but
I get you. Can you explain the parliamentary system real quick, just so the people who don't really understand?
Right? You have the party, right? The party in power, and then you have the opposition party, and then you have a Speaker of the House. So you would have Mitch McConnell. Well, you would have Mitch McConnell, were the Prime Minister, right? And then you have Chuck Schumer, and then you have, I guess, Nancy Pelosi, right? Or actually, would it be Pence? Was the Speaker, right? It's the House. It's
I guess you don't have to use American, but just explain the theory. So pretty much a parliamentarian system.
Two parties arguing against each other, and then you have a Speaker of the House, and then you basically tell what the party is trying to do for the country, and that's it. But there's no the Prime Minister is the head of state. It's not the president. So
yeah, so pretty much parliamentary system is that you vote the people into Parliament, right, which will be Congress, right? And you vote people into Congress, and then whoever has a majority in Congress is the ruling party. And then within themselves, they elect the prime minister.
Yeah.
So they choose a prime minister within themselves, right? And then that prime minister has his cabinet, and then they're the ones who, take over, who run the government, right? So that's the parliamentarian system. So you don't elect the president like we do here in the United States through the Electoral College. You vote the party into power, and then that party chooses a leader within themselves to be the prime minister and lead the country, to be the acting president, if you can say, or be like the president, the head of state, right? So that's the difference. So
I mean, that's the thing, though. I mean, if we're setting these bars so low, and then what's the point of having a president? What's the point of having a president in office? I mean, what's the point of the executive branch at that point if Congress has more power in that instance? Right? The legislature has more power. The legislature is going to say, well, I didn't like what you did there. I don't know about that deal. What's the point of having an executive branch? Nobody's going to want the job. Can't hear you, Jaime. You're muted yourself, sir.
I know it keeps muting because the way I put my phone on, it just keeps muting. That's why I'm like struggling with it. But anyways, not only who wants the job is that I just lost my thought right now. God dang. I forgot. Continue, Eddie. I just forgot what I was going to say.
That was it. I just don't know who's going to win the job anymore. Honestly, who's going to run for president? Who's going to be like, I mean, a mere puppet figure? Who's going to, I mean, I don't know.
There you go. Yeah, then the president won't have, you're not going to have that checks and balances.
Yeah, you lose
the balance of power between the executive and the legislative branch, right? Because remember, the executive branch is the one who enforces the laws made by the legislative, right? So they're the ones who make sure that the laws are being abided by, right? The legislative branch is the only branch that can make laws, right? Not the president. The president doesn't make laws. So those of you who are betting on Joe Biden to make laws, he can't do it. He doesn't have power to make laws. He has the power to influence Congress to create certain policies, but he doesn't have the right to create law. He doesn't go there, make a law, and then have, sign it himself. He doesn't. Only the legislative branch has that power to make laws, right? Now, you break that balance of power because now you're making the executive branch be a servant or an agent of the legislative.
Yes, that's what I said. A puppet.
There you go, puppet. Better way to say. Because now the executive branch, the president, won't be able to speak his or her own mind and be able to push through, ask for laws to be pushed through, because they'll be afraid that Congress will get them out of power if they don't like them or they disagree with the person, right? So now they're going to be like beholden to the mood and approval of Congress, which is something dangerous.
That was not intended by the founding fathers. Right? You know, and that's where, like, I know I said I was going local, but even that in itself, that extreme view could become reality because of all the power the executive branch will lose to the legislative. And this is what we're heading to. And that's why a lot of constitutionalists have said, you have set the bar too low. I'm sorry. A speech that for some reason some hooligans took too hard and burned and stormed the Capitol.
Exactly.
Is not an impeachable offense. Okay. Those people should be prosecuted. If Donald Trump said go home and be peaceful, calling the National Guard, he acted presidential. Okay. Regardless of what you think of him personally, he acted presidential. Okay. The phone call with Ukraine, that's being presidential again. And then, the whole Russia collusion. Well, I mean, if you don't have any evidence, I mean, we can't.
Well, the Russia collusion was a lie.
Well, you know what I'm saying? But the phone call, he's like, wait a minute, a phone call? I mean, no, there was not even quid pro quo. I mean, we can go.
Oh my God, I'm laughing. Yeah, I got you.
That standard is now so low, man. I swear to God, the guy drinks Diet Coke versus Coke Zero. That's an impeachable offense. I mean, it came to that ridiculousness because it's so low. So, and it's like, when I look at this,
it's petty.
Yeah, when I look at this impeachment today, it's like, okay, so what you're trying to do is have Donald Trump not come back in 2024. Let's just be honest. You don't want to come back in 2024. And luckily for Mitch McConnell, he said, we're not going to have a trial. Can't do it. Okay. We need more than 21 days to at least have a trial, get it going and have a real trial. And by then, he's gone. Well,
and now let's get to that part too. I think it's a lot of questions is now that he's impeached, he's out of office. 6 days, 5 days from now? 7 days from now.
Well, right? From this recording is 7 days.
From this recording, yeah. This recording, which is January 13th, right? 7 days from now, he's going to be literally literally the moment Joe Biden swears in, that automatically triggers the new presidency, right? Okay, so Donald Trump is still president up till the swearing in. Okay, so if you want to know history about that, look at Marbury case back in John Adams versus Jefferson. Political rivals, but best friends in life. Anyways, right? Literally, the new presidency doesn't start until the exact moment Joe Biden says, so help me God, finishes his
so help me God,
oath of office, so help me God. That triggers in the new presidency. And if you don't believe me, you should look at how the White House just overhauls the staff, overhauls everything out of Trump stuff out and moves all of Biden stuff in. Like it happens in every presidential change of power. Yeah. They go in, they get all this stuff of the president who's leaving, they take it out, get everything packed up in trucks and everything and shipped out. And then trucks come in and they move in all the stuff of the incoming president, right? It's been going on for years and every transition. Anyways, what I'm getting at is what's going to happen to impeachment? So he's impeached, and the impeachment literally is to remove someone from federal office, right? Yeah. Donald Trump will be out of office in 7 days.
Right.
So what happens with that impeachment? What happens with it?
It doesn't exist. I mean, it's pointless because you have to go to the Senate to have a trial.
So will they have a trial for Donald Trump?
They won't. McConnell said, "Look, you can't have the trial when in what 4 days."
Okay, yeah, obviously. So, I mean, he said, can they have a trial even though he's left office? And I know Democrats are going to try to get it.
He said, like, no, but based on the rules, it's just best to leave this behind. We're not gonna touch it. I mean, that's according to McConnell, right? I don't know. Okay, so to answer your question better, I don't know what the precedent of that is because I've never seen it. I've never heard of it.
Mhm.
I don't.
Mhm.
I've read the Constitution on impeachment. I don't see. I don't. It does not state that a non-sitting president can be impeached because he's no longer in power. The whole purpose of impeachment is to remove somebody from federal office. That person has now left office. He's gone.
So do you think that do you think the incumbent Democrat controlled Senate is going to try to get him into trial?
You can't unseat an unseated president. I mean, the whole you can't remove. What are you going to remove him from? Being a private citizen? I mean, I don't understand that.
Being a private citizen?
There's no. I mean, and anybody tuning in, please correct me. I'm wrong. I'm just based on the interpretation that of what I've seen based on McConnell's statement.
And the Constitution.
The Constitution, right? And McConnell's statement, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like, what are you gonna do with Trump? I mean, the only thing you can oh yeah, he's guilty. But what's he? Okay, so he's guilty. Now what? He's gone. He can't run in 2024. I guess we'll see, right? We'll see when the Biden administration comes in, but that defeats the whole purpose of the process in general. I mean,
it defeats the whole purpose of impeachment.
He's gone. He's gone for 4 years. I mean, if the Democrats wanted this done, I guess the riot should have taken place 3 months ago. I don't know, dude. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's just a petty show, like you said. The House knew it, right? They're like, okay, we're gonna give one more slap to Donald Trump. We're gonna impeach him again. And the Senate's like, okay, what do you want me to do? I can't do this today, Nancy. We got a transition in 7 days here. New senators are going to come in. New, the Congress has already been sworn in, but you're going to have new senators come in. We got to transition to the Biden administration, get everything together. I don't got time for an impeachment. Okay, one took 83 days. The other one took 37 days. The other one, now this one's the last one took 23 days. You want me to do this in 4? I don't have time for a Guinness World Record. I mean, we have.
But even if he did it in 3 days, you're gonna remove him in office. Okay. So you're gonna remove him from the position he already lost. He's not gonna. Okay. He's not
in 3 days. Jaime, is that a fair trial?
No.
Okay, of course
no,
not.
But of course not. Yeah, of course not. But what I'm talking about is like you're gonna put him on trial to get him out of power when he's literally gonna leave power.
That's McConnell's statement. It's like, this is ridiculous. Look, the best thing we should do as a country is let him leave and let's welcome in the new administration. McConnell's right. McConnell's right on this one. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like McConnell, but he's right. Okay.
And it's just time. So what's gonna happen? So for me, I think they did this out of spite, out of anger, out of hatred, out of just they just want to get at him as much as they can. They just want to just get at him so much that this whole impeachment thing was just pretty much just not even ceremonial. It was just a stupid way of trying to say Trump is bad.
Yeah. It's just, it's just the whole thing's been over. Okay. The argument that Trump is responsible for this has been overblown. I mean, the only thing Donald Trump's responsible for is for lying to those people that went to DC saying that they were going to turn the election. That's the only thing he lied about. Okay. And then hooligans who took that to heart stormed the Capitol. But I said, if he's wrong for that, then I want the same level of scrutiny put on people who said that Black people were systematically hunted by cops that led to the destruction of half the country, a secession by a portion of Portland, Oregon, right? Who those people should be tried for sedition, treason, whatever. I mean, you literally took over a police station and told people to get the hell out. Okay. That's insurrection. That is sedition. That is treason. Okay. You called yourself Chaz. You're an independent country now. I don't know if you sent your documents to the UN to be recognized by world stage. I have no idea. Okay. But that, okay. At least the guys.
That's insurrection. Yeah. That's sedition. Yeah.
What I call the fake patriots who just did it to take selfies and be like, hey, look, I got Nancy Pelosi's podium. They didn't take over the Capitol. I mean, they stormed the Capitol, but they didn't take over the Capitol. They didn't go to the chamber and be like, listen here, everybody in Congress, we are not leaving, right? Until our demands are met. That didn't happen. It was a stupid thing to do, but Donald Trump's not responsible for that.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
And people would say, well, he contested the election. Yeah, well, hello. Have we not paid attention that Hillary
well, I
Clinton
mean,
has been
and that's another thing.
saying that, has been contesting the election since she lost?
Yeah,
That
Hillary
old
Clinton
hag won't shut up about it. He stole the election from me. He stole the election from me.
Yeah, 4
That
years.
old hag needs to shut up. Go home, Hillary. Go home.
You know,
But she's a fighter
yeah,
of
but Donald
resistance.
Trump, I mean,
She's a resistance fighter.
it's unprecedented for Donald Trump to contest this election. I mean, the guy is a sore loser.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and like we said, we're not here defending Trump. We're just letting you know. Look at the
We're
double
attacking
standards.
the arguments. You know, the arguments.
Let's all be smart, guys. Let's all be smart. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, conservative, liberal, let's all be smart and be like, you know what? It's dumb how one side, criticizes the other, and they're both doing the same thing. But because
right now both sides are literally doing the same thing. So for those on the right, they're saying, "How dare you?" No, you are. You call every conservative that just told you that we lost the election a rhino. You call them a non-Republican. You call them a weak conservative. And then the right and the left is like, "Oh, well, you're all just full of conspiracy theories, and we're right. I don't care. We burn half the country down."
Mm-hmm.
We're doing the same thing. Both the right and the left. Nobody's thinking properly. So we're telling you this impeachment's wrong. The bans are wrong. The attack on free speech is wrong, and we got 7 days to Joe Biden's president.
And there will be a fun time for us here at MM Talk because we will have an eye on Joe. We will have an eye on Joe, and the first thing we will be doing in MM Talk, Eddie, I know this is gonna be a surprise for you, is we're gonna be counting down the days when he makes immigration reform.
Oh no, I already got my calendar already, man.
Because he said the first 100 days we're going to be posting day number uno, no reform. Day number dos, no reform.
He said 100 days, right? He said 100 days.
He said 100 days.
Okay.
The first 100 days immigration reform. So we're going to hold him to it. Yeah. We're going to hold him to it.
Oh, but we have the coronavirus pandemic. I don't want to hear it. He said the first 100 days.
Exactly, and there's no excuse because he has the House and the Senate.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has no excuse. He has no excuse. Literally, no excuse.
Hey man, we gotta make that post.
He has he has the same power as Obama did when he came into office.
Yeah, he had the first
when he had the Congress and the Senate.
Yes, and he couldn't do it.
2 years. Was it 2 years or 3 years? 2 years, right?
2 years. And he couldn't do it.
2 years. He didn't even do immigration reform when he had the entire federal government under his party's power. He didn't do it. Right. He focused on healthcare and Obamacare, which later became a disaster, right? And it's still a disaster. Okay. So though people are like, Obamacare would have saved people with coronavirus. Nah. It's a lie.
Oh, you're right. Okay. You're right. So so I think we should, make a little post every day, like, or maybe every week. Like, I'm
gonna do it daily. We're gonna do it daily.
Daily, okay.
We're gonna do it daily. I'll be in charge. I'll handle that, Eddie. I know you have a lot on your a lot of your plate. Eddie is the editor and all that for our show. He does all the edits and everything. So I know he has a lot on his plate. I'll handle that one. We're gonna count it from 100 down to 1. 100.
Hey man,
go 99.
Can we have
98, 97, 96?
Can we have a celebration when he fails?
I will have a celebration. I will buy the champagne, sir. I will buy the champagne. Okay. I will send you a bottle, Eddie.
This is not an attack on Joe Biden's record. This is an attack because we've been waiting for this immigration reform for about 30 years.
It's about time.
So he said 100 days. He said 100 days. I'm holding him to it. You're right.
And just like, the liberals were holding Trump.
Let's do it.
And just like the liberals were holding Trump accountable for everything he did, we are going to do pretty much the same. We are going to do pretty much the same on Joe Biden. And we're going to go on like his promises, his broken promises, what he's doing wrong, what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong. We're going to be the same neutral guys, the same, try to, keep balance between power, not defend the guy, not attack the guy, but give you guys the facts of why it's ridiculous or why it's wrong, right?
We're going to do it for Biden.
Yeah, so we're gonna do it for Biden too. So
right.
If he's wrong, he's wrong. If he's right, he's right. But we're gonna be, on top of him. Because I know the media isn't gonna tell you a lot of things. They're gonna be telling you like he's the greatest president of all. Right?
Oh my God, Joe Biden is the next George Washington.
Oh yes, he's just great. He just Joe Biden. Oh, and we also keep track how many times he kisses girls in the back.
That's all you, Jaime. I'm doing the, I'm doing immigration reform.
Because you know he's not a perv. He's just friendly.
All right, let's end that here, man.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in for them talk.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to please leave your comments below. Your comments, whichever they are, good or bad, leave them below. Hit those like buttons, share, and follow us. And remember,
We're tired of it too.
That's Jaime Moreno.
Oh, Jaime Moreno. Sorry, cut off.
Talk, and remember,
we're tired of it too.
All right.